Hello and welcome to British English with Alexandre. Welcome to be here. Today we're going to be talking about another lesson. This is Unity 37 out of 100, which is the number that I expected you to read with your support. Okay, before we get started, please, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel, share the content so we can improve the channel to keep up this work. Okay, without any further ado, we're still talking about reporting. Actually, we're reporting things all the time. Today, we're talking about modal verbs in reporting. Okay, let's go. This is section A. When there is a modal verb in the original statement, suggestion, etc., it sometimes changes when we report what was said or thought. So you say something here and we report this same thing here. We're talking about reported speech and reporting speech, but that time using modal verbs. The changes are summarized here. So for example, we've got this column on the left where we're using the verbs modal verb in original. So when we've got these verbs in the original statements, for those verbs, we're gonna use those verbs in the reporting clause. So notice that it's not that difficult. For those verbs on the left, we're gonna use those verbs on the right. For example, like here, for example, when we use, for example, the modal verb could. If we use could, if we use could in the original statement, we use could in the reported clause. So that's easy. For example, I could meet you at the airport. So we're using could in the original statement. Notice that we're referring to modal verbs in reporting. I could meet you at the airport. This is the reported clause. Now he is reporting it. He said that he could meet us. He said that he could meet us at the airport. The only thing that changes is the pronoun. Here we say I could meet you. He's reporting, so he says he said he said that he could meet us at the airport, but the verb stays the same. Okay? I could meet you at the airport. He said that he could meet us at the airport. We're reporting something that happened in the past. Okay, so that said, let's continue. So notice again that for the verbs, let's just pronounce them. Could, would, should, might. Could, should, could, would, should, might. Needn't, ought to, used to. Needn't, ought to, used to. Notice that i.e. it means that is no change. There's no change. So when those verbs on the left are in the original statement, we also use them in on the sentence on the right, on the with modal verb in report. So there is no change of the verb. Also with could have, should have, etc. Notice could have, should have, etc. So notice that in relation to section B, there's no reason to get worried about that. When those verbs are on the left, we also use it then on the right. Okay? Now, let's move on to section C. When we use will, can, and may, it also isn't that difficult. But there is a change. For will, we use would. So there's a relation to the future. For can, we use could. For may, we use might. That first example, notice that there's a slight change here. For will, can, and may, we can use would for will, could for can, and might for may. Let's see examples 4 and 5. She may have already left. She may have already left. He thought she might have already left. So notice that for may, I'm presuming something that has already happened, reporting something that might maybe happened. She may have already left. He thought she might have already left. Okay, but before we continue, let's just see some more examples. We've just read the previous examples about the section B. We talked about the first example. I could meet you at the airport. He said that he could meet us at the airport. So I forgot to read those examples. We might drop in if we have time. We might drop in if we have time. Notice that we don't change. They said they might drop in if they have time. They said they might drop in if they have time. You should have contacted me earlier. Should have. There's no change. They said I should have contacted her earlier. So sorry, just going back to section B, talking about could have, should have, and those corresponding verbs. Okay, now going back and continuing with the lessons. With will, can, may, we're using would, can, and could. 4 and 5. Again, she may have already left. For that case, for the verb to may, we use the corresponding might in the reporting clause. She may have already left. He thought she might have already left. Let's see if there's some more examples here. Look, will, can, and may, will, can, and may, for existing or future situations, and the present tense verb in reporting clause. Number 6. For example, if the situation we are reporting still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause has a present tense, like here, pay attention. If the situation we are reporting, for example, I will be in Paris at Christmas. So if the situation we are reporting still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause has a present tense like that, she tells me she'll be in Paris at Christmas, we use will, like here, can and may in the reported clause. Compare. Careful, you fall through the ice. Careful, you fall through the ice. I warned him he would fall through the ice. This is number 5, right? Number 5. So we're changing the modal verbs. Careful, you fall through the ice. I warned him he would fall through the ice. For will, we use would. Will, would. Will, would. Will, would. Notice. 5. Will, would. For will, would. Number 4 and 5. Or may, might. No, sorry. Will, would. Careful, you fall through the ice. I warned him he would fall through the ice. This is number 5. But if the verb, the situation we're reporting still exists or is still in the future in the reporting clause, and if the situation we're reporting still exists or is still in the future and the verb in the reporting clause has a present tense, we use will, can, and may in the reported clause. She tells me she'll be in Paris at Christmas. So we can use that verb and not a corresponding modal verb. If the situation we're reporting still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause has a past tense like here, we can use either would or will, can or could, or may or might in the reported clause. For example, the problem can be solved. It's the situation, because we're reporting something that still exists or is still in the future, and the verb in the reporting clause is in the past tense, said past tense. We can use will, would or will, can or could, may or might. The problem can be solved. They said the problem can be solved, or they said the problem could be solved. So there's no problem about that. This is actually number 7. Check out. Will or would, can or could, may or might exist in our future situations and the past tense verb in reporting clause. Notice the difference. Will, can, and may exist in our future situations and the present tense verb in reporting clause. Present tense. The most important aspect is the present tense in the reporting clause. And will or would, can or could, may or might also about existing or future situations and the past tense verb in reporting clause. So this is the basic difference. Okay, now moving on to section D. For shall, it's almost not used nowadays, but okay, if we've got the verb shall in the original statement, we should use would, talking about the future, or should, talking about offers, requests for advice, etc. 8 and 9. And let's check this out. 8 and 9. I shall call you on Monday. We mostly use I call you on Monday. She told me she would call me on Monday. So for will, we use would. I'll call you on Monday. She told me she would call me on Monday. Or where shall I put this box? Where shall I put this box? He asked where he should put the box. Where shall I put the box? This box. Where shall I put this box? He asked where he should put the box. This is about section D. Now, the final section, section E. For must, which expresses necessity, we use must or had to. Number 10, let's take out the first. So for must, necessity, we can use must or had to. Let's check. This is number 10. You must be home by 9 o'clock. You must be home by 9 o'clock. She said I must be home by 9 o'clock. So it doesn't change. With must, we can use must. But with must, we can also use had to. She said I had to be home by 9 o'clock. Had to is more natural in speech, so prefer had to. You must be home by 9 o'clock, his mom said. She said I had to be home by 9 o'clock. But you can repeat must, but it's more natural in speech to say had to when reporting a statement with must in the original statement. Moving back and take the other example, must to conclude. For must, we also use must It doesn't change. Let's check. Number 11. I didn't hear the phone. I must be going deaf. This is the reported clause. I must be going deaf. So we report it. We report it repeating the verb. It doesn't change. Alex thought he must be going deaf. So we use must in the original statement and we repeat it in the reporting clause. I must be going deaf. I didn't hear the phone. I must be going deaf. Alex thought he must be going deaf. Another example, must, but in the negative. We say it mustn't. For mustn't, we also use mustn't. So it's easy, because it's the same. It doesn't change. Let's check this out. Number 12. You mustn't tell my brother. You mustn't tell my brother. This is the reported clause. And this is the reporting clause. He warned me that I mustn't tell his brother. He warned me that I mustn't tell his brother. So it doesn't change. We use mustn't in the original statement and we repeat the verb the same way. He warned me that I mustn't tell his brother. Okay, moving on. This is section F, the last section of that lesson. Now that we sometimes use a modal verb in a reported sentence when there is no modal verb in the original. You're not allowed to smoke here. You're not allowed to smoke here. She told me that I mustn't smoke there. She told me that I mustn't smoke there. Now that we sometimes use a modal verb in a reported sentence when there is no modal verb in the original. She told me that I mustn't smoke there. So there's a modal verb here, but there isn't one here. My advice is to look for a new job now. She said that I should look for a new job now. So basically, should not worry so much about the necessity of those corresponding verbs. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Please, if you didn't understand something, go back to the lesson, try to understand the relation of that chart. You can see that it's not that difficult. We've got only B, C, D, E. So we've got to understand the relation between them, when you should change them, when you should not. It's not that difficult. Just go over it again, compare the examples, try to understand those relations, and you're gonna see that it gets easier the more you study it. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. Please subscribe to the channel, enjoy the content to help English learners all over the world. Cheers.